Night against the Hawks. Harden is frustrated that the team hasn't been able to work out a trade with the Clippers. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence listed as questionable for tomorrow night's game against the Saints. He has a left knee injury from Sunday's win over the Colts. Meanwhile, Saints linebacker Demario Davis will be a game-time decision tomorrow night, also with a knee injury. Game 4 of the WNBA Finals tonight in New York, with the Liberty trying to force a winner-take-all Game 5 against the Las Vegas Aces. Tonight's game, coverage begins at 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up on Thursday, we love Brock Purdy on the show. But is he still our MVP? Yes, and we're going to tell you why. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case.
And we'll take care of it.
The Lackey Law Firm. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Score big deals at Baumhauer's this football season and order from our Inflation Bites menu. Try our Buffalo Wing Special with fries and a complimentary beverage for only $9.99. And what's football without a cold beer? Our pitchers of Yingling and Yingling Flight are only $7.99, served all day, 7 days a week. And huddle up, football fans. Sign up today for our free NFL Pick'em contest at Baumhauers.com for weekly prizes. Baumhauers, legendary fun and legendary food.
Chris Brockman here from The Rich Eisen Show. And do you want even more excitement on game day? Yeah, you do. It's time to get on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. You pick 2 to 6 players. You choose more or less on their stats. If you get them right, you can win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and it's easy to make your picks with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals. Prize Picks is the place to play. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Watch your entry update in real time and continue the fun by making picks on the second half and fourth quarter stats. And right now, when you go to prizepicks.com/primetime, use code PRIMETIME for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for more details.
Cheeseburger Bobby's has a great new way to feed the family with 2 $30 family packs. The first is the Tenders Family Meal, 20 delicious chicken tenders, fries, and a gallon of tea. The second is 4 cheeseburgers, fries, and a gallon of tea. Your choice, just $30 each. These specials are good for carryout and online orders only. Log on to cheeseburgerbobbies.com to order. And to save even more, take advantage of this week's Zone Deal. $50 worth of Cheeseburger Bobbies for just $25. Get your Zone Deal this Friday at 977ESPN.com.
Built to win.
Touchdown, Alabama!
Built for championships.
Throws intercepted, Alabama.
Built by Bama.
Alabama is still Alabama.
The Crimson Tide play here. Join us Saturday as the Crimson Tide look to get revenge on Tennessee. Our coverage begins at 11:30 on your home for Alabama football.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Everything you need is just a click away.
I should come up sometimes, too, man.
Okay, almost everything.
Come up, I'll tell you a fortune.
Log on today, 97.7ESPN.com. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome, Army sports fans, from sea to shining sea. This is Bill Crawdad Crawford, and this is Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff. And as they say, hail, hail, the gang's all here, beginning with Colonel Tom, also Tom Economy. Tom, how you doing?
Living the dream, Bill. Ready to talk some Army football.
Yeah.
And Steve Cripey, the human Ouija board, who was actually at the game last week. Steve, how you doing?
Yes, sir. Doing well. Yeah, not the outcome that we had hoped for, but always great to be back at West Point. And, hey, and got to see some friends, some classmates, eat some good food, take in the atmosphere of game day at Mikey.
And as B.J. Thomas said, raindrops kept falling on your head. So
I was in the suite, so no, that would not be the case.
Well, hey, real quick, to start off with a little business, if you would like to win a $50 gift certificate to Nick's Restaurante, just call 256-576-4977 and give your name to Jackson, and he'll take it, and we will make sure that happens. So that happens all throughout the show tonight. The first person who calls wins the certificate. So now let's talk a little bit. That was Jackson on YouTube TV right there. 19-0, the Army-Troy game.
To be more clear, that was Jackson's backside.
That was Jack.
Which I understand is his best feature.
Wow.
All right.
Hey, I mean, yeah.
Jackson is producer extraordinaire, so
yes,
we're not going to beat the Troy game to death. It certainly is one that, like Tom said, it didn't come out like we wanted it to. But let's talk. There's always good things that happen in a football game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a miserable day at Mikey, 2 weeks in a row, right, with a ton of rain. And man, we just didn't play well. I mean, you kind of got to call it as you see it. I mean, I think there were some bright sides that we can take from it, but overall, and you cannot be happy with the way Army played.
Yeah, and as Coach Munkin said in the post-game press conference, he said, "Yeah, the guys aren't back in the locker room smiling." And, tough. I mean, offensively, I was just waiting for that little spark that might get things going, create a little momentum and that kind of thing. But it just never happened. It never transpired. And it just seemed like the offense just wasn't clicking. That's a cliche-ish and probably an understatement. But, yeah, that was the tough part of the game to watch, was just the lack of, not all cylinders, but maybe 7 or 8 would have been nice.
I don't think we were hitting on 2 cylinders, but there were bright spots in that game. Yeah. As an example, we had plebe running back Kanye Udo, who I hadn't seen a lot of him this year, but he had 18 carries for 124 yards, and he had one carry where it looked like he carried the whole Troy team for about 10 yards down the field. And hopefully he's one of our future star performers, but I thought he was a very much of a bright spot in the loss to Troy. What about you, Steve?
Defense, I could identify a couple things, but one thing that was really impressive, there were multiple junctures in the game where, and I meant to look up what the average starting position, field starting position was for LSU, but they had it out near midfield.
Troy.
Troy, excuse me. Thank you. I'm already looking ahead. But they to hold them on 4 of those possessions to field goal when they got deep and into Army territory, but the defense stiffened up. It is one of those cases, could have been much worse.
Yeah, I don't know that I can really find a positive other than the 2 that you've mentioned. Other than the fact that I think we have. I think you have to really look at how difficult it is to implement a new offense, and the fact that we've been recruiting guys for 8 years under Munkin, and our second string quarterback's a plebe, and I think that just speaks volumes to the skill sets that we recruited and developed under our initial option offense are not the same skill set that we need now at quarterback. And I think that when you said we didn't have a spark at offense, and our freshman quarterback, after Daly went out, he looked overmatched. I mean, it was just, his first pass, ball came out of his hand, and he never seemed to really regain after that.
Yeah, really find his comfort zone.
Well, let me offer a sort of a different viewpoint on that, Tom, and that's this.
You can offer a wrong one, Bill. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll offer a wrong.
Always encouraged.
And then we'll let Steve offer a right viewpoint. But we did lose Bryson Daly. He was playing pretty good before he went out. Don't know what's happened. No real word.
It was a non-contact injury, and that's
scary.
Yeah,
that's always scary. But I think Champ Harris being able to get into the game was a good thing. At least now he's probably not going to go in. Well, he's not going to go into the Death Valley as a freshman for his first real playing time. So I thought that was a decent little a good thing that happened for a bad reason.
Yeah, besides that, Mrs. Lincoln, how'd you enjoy the show?
Yeah, I would say one final positive. Back to the defense, they pitched a shutout in the fourth quarter. Kudos to them, not just folding. But to Tom's point, it is. I really do think a lot of the fans minimize the magnitude of this change, and I'll focus on two sets of positions. The offensive line, they've gone from a really highly scripted, choreographed blocking. Okay, you move here, you cut block here, or whatever. But it's very choreographed. Now they've gone to a zone blocking scheme. You've got a piece of real estate you're responsible for. Anybody comes in there, you block. Similarly with the running backs, well, really the backfield as a whole, instead of, okay, you're going through this hole, based on that zone blocking, there are probably one of 3 or 4 holes that you could go through on any given hole or any given play. So, yeah, this is not a trivial, simplistic kind of transition.
As Vince Lombardi might have said, you run to daylight. But there is another thing that happened. I mean, we can let Troy go for a while, but
just for a while.
Last Friday night, the Sprint football team under Coach West beat Cornell 63-0. Just an awesome game.
Pulled out a big old can of whoop, yeah.
Pulled out a big old can, opened up a can, and Huntsville and sometimes co-host Joe Ross's son, J.P. Ross, was the leading ground gainer for the Sprint team. So that was always an enjoyable thing to see. And now we're going to get out of here. We got 2 guests tonight. Guest number 1 is going to be Sal Interdonato. He's coming up right after this breaks. And one quick thing about Nick's Restaurante, they send out boxes to the troops. And if you want to participate in that, you'll get a 20% discount down there. Just go drop your box off with Tom, Kenny, or anybody, and they'll take care of you. That's at Nick's Restaurante. Great place to go for food, drink, and fun. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army. The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat, and that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's perfect.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Bill Crawdad Crawford, and this is Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff. Steve Cripey, the human Ouija board, and Tom Economy, known also as Colonel Tom, are alongside for the ride. And we're waiting on Sal Interdonato.
You know, I tell you what, we need to keep a live feed going during the commercials, and people have to pay extra. I think people would want to pay for that. I'm just saying.
They probably enjoy the break commercial conversations more than they would. But as we're waiting on Sal to call in, hopefully he can. He said he might have some phone troubles where he's at. A little bit about Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. You can reach them at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. He has a great commercial running on the station right now, and it talks about the things you can do with a mortgage right now. Just you don't have to buy a house. You can pay off consumer debt. You can do all kinds of things with it. You can buy a vacation home, a home on the lake, whatever you want to do, and then you can refinance later when the rates may go down. So give Brian and his folks a visit at NorthAlabamaMortgage.com. I did. I was certainly pleased that I did do that, and you will not be disappointed. I guarantee that. So, folks.
Are you saying that for the LSU game? I guarantee.
Y'all, son, I guarantee you go down to that LSU game, you're going to see some of them Cajuns down there. We can get into that later.
Oh, yeah.
On. I had some interesting tales from my visits to LSU, but folks, we're at the halfway point of the season, and obviously it's not going the way we wanted it to go, but
or even expected it to go. I think that's been and I will say, I think a majority of Army fans, again, thought that transition to the new offense would be a little smoother. And I really did. I felt like the typical skill set sort of, it was not drastically different than what the offense called for us in particular, and felt like, I mean, Bryson Daly's been in the system, been developing, but yeah, that's been the really disappointing part. It's a little bit more of a learning curve than I think we were anticipating.
But it may not be. I know I said it a little bit earlier, but it may not be just the skill set, right? It might be that you might need the same skill set, but you were talking about the offensive lineman, right? It's that repetition, 4 years of practicing the same block, doing it exactly the same way becomes, you don't think about it, and now they're having to think about it. They don't have that muscle memory. They can't do it, with their eyes closed. It just takes a little bit of bandwidth, and that's bandwidth that we're seeing in penalties and offsides and all kind of things that we're not used to seeing with Army football. So hopefully the skill sets are right, but it's tough to get everybody to do something completely different.
Well, whatever that rambling comment was from Colonel Tom. Go ahead and give me the evil eye. We're on YouTube.
That's right.
TV.
Crawdad showing the love.
All right, and now I think we have Sal Interdonato joining us. Sal, are you there?
Hey, guys.
Thanks for having me. It's been a long time. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Welcome aboard, Sal.
Welcome aboard. Good to hear from you. Nice to see what all you're doing still for Army Black Knight football. And Sal, a little disappointing where we're at this thus far, but I think we still got a lot of positives to look forward to. Even though we're 2-4, I think you can take a look at the play of Bryson Daly and some of our running backs, Kanye Udo, this past week, and we got a lot of good football still left ahead of us. What do you think?
Do I have to be the dark cloud guy?
Go for it, Sal.
The dark cloud, because I'm thinking about this before I come on, and Bryson Daly's been good. Kanye Udo ran for 100 yards last week. They scored no points. Doesn't matter. He could have ran for 200 yards. They didn't score. This offense is not putting up points. And you know, this is a stat that really boggles my mind to a point. In their 4 losses this year, how many offensive touchdowns do you think they've scored in the first half in their 4 losses?
Ooh, good.
My guess would be none.
1.
Wow.
Jacoby Buchanan touchdown run against Syracuse on that long drive at the beginning of the Syracuse game. 1 offensive touchdown in their 4 losses in the first half. I mean, it's just this offense. You know, I think what was I going to say? You know, the waiting period is halfway through the season now. You want to see a little bit more results than being shut out by a good Troy team. I get it. Troy's very good. But, you know, you want to score an offensive touchdown against Louisiana Monroe in the opener. Didn't do that. You want to play a complete game on offense. Haven't done that, maybe except for UTSA. You know, Boston College second half was nice, but what about the first half?
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I mean, it's really been the defense has kept them in games. The defense has played well enough to win some of these games, and the offense has not been good. I mean, I thought of this in my head, and you know, if Army football's offense was a movie, and I was rating it on Rotten Tomatoes, you know, I would probably give it between 30 and 40%. They haven't been good.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with that. But you know, we're midpoint of the season. Got 6 games remaining. One an FBS. How would you define success for the balance of the season? What would you like to see?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, on our Black Knight Nation podcast, when we did the Troy recap, you know, one of our reporters, Seth Mendelson's and Steve Anderson were like, 2-10 could be a possibility if they don't get their act together, you know? And I don't think that. I think their defense is too good. I think, you know, they will beat UMass at home. They will beat Holy Cross at home. Holy Cross, I know, gave Boston College a good game. But, I mean, how would I define success? Be competitive against Louisiana State at some point in this game on Saturday. That's a step in the right direction. You know, that is a step in the right direction to me. I mean, you win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. I know it's still out there. I know Air Force is undefeated. I know Navy is 3-3. Be competitive with your Service Academy rival. You know, be in the fourth quarter of those games. And maybe if you can pull out a win against the Air Force, wow. You know, I mean, they're really good this year. So, I mean, I think that's where the success lies. But I don't think it's hard to project when there hasn't been much to go by this year, especially on the offensive end. You know, and we don't know the status of Bryson Daly at quarterback this week, you know, against LSU. Some might say Army's a 30-point underdog, right? But with Bryson Daly, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, Army's going to pull off the upset of all upsets, but be competitive.
So, Sal, I mean, we've spent a lot of time this year talking about the offense and its woes. So, but you know, I think the defense has been a certainly in comparison a high point. So, what if are there any defensive standouts or anything defensively that you look at and you say, man, that's an Army football, that's Army football or an Army football player?
Well, I think that Troy game shows you a little bit, right? I mean, they have to buckle down. The offense is not moving the ball. I mean, 7 straight, you know, offensive series with punts or fumbles. I mean, the defense is on the field a lot, and they hold their own. They hold Troy to 4 field goals. They only give up 1 touchdown against Troy. 90% of the time when your defense gives up one touchdown in the game, you're probably going to win. I mean, they have played pretty well. I think that, a couple like Jimmy Charlo's played pretty solidly all season long. I think maybe on some passing downs, maybe they should send Jimmy Charlo on the pass rush instead of leaving them in the flat. I think that they need to put more heat on these quarterbacks. I mean, these quarterbacks sometimes do have a long time to sit back there and pick apart the secondary. I think that Kyle Lewis has been pretty good at nose tackle. He's a little undersized, but he's been pretty good at nose tackle. Even though there's times where, yes, teams do run for what they want against Army, the defense really gives up too many big plays. Yeah, they hang in there. Yeah, they buckle down and bend don't break sometimes, but sometimes the field position game is huge, and they're giving up big plays to flip the field, and, it's tough. I mean, I think Max P. Domenico's played pretty good in his first year as a full-time starter. He's been around the ball a little bit, and I think that there's some promising young players, but I mean that does nothing to the one-loss record, and the 2-4 record. You are what your record says you are.
Yeah. Well, Sal, let me ask you a question. How long do you think? And I'll give you my answer first. I think it's a year and a half as an Army fan to let this new offense gel and get the recruits in maybe to run it instead of recruits that recruited for a different type offense. What do you think about that?
I don't agree, to be honest with you. And I mean, maybe I'm just like I said, maybe I'm a little bit of a dark cloud, but that's an excuse to me. That's an excuse to me. Like, you had the spring, you had the preseason, you've had half a season right now. What have we seen? And yes, I know Isaiah Austin's been out the last couple games. They don't produce big plays in this offense. And you can't tell me they don't have big play capabilities with the guys that they have on the field.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that when it's right that, when Austin's on the field, when Tyrell Robinson, who's coming back, is on the field, when Ijon Marshall is right, when Noah Short is right, there's some big play capability in this offense, but it just doesn't show up. And I think at the beginning of the year, maybe it was the preseason, I don't know, and I heard something to the effect that, I have a lot of confidence in the new offensive coordinator of getting us out of what he's seeing in the defense, getting us out to a play that's going to be successful. You haven't really seen that this year, and I don't think I've really truly blame Drew Thatcher on that. I think some of it is, on the field it's happening. There's too many fumbles. The ball security's been really, really, really bad. And, sometimes you get a really good drive going like you did against Troy in the first half. You fumble, and you don't see the red zone until 3 minutes left in the game. I mean, it's really a year and a half. I don't know. The right quarterback. I mean, Bryson Daly's done pretty well in this offense. I mean, for the most part, he's got to do a lot of the work in this offense right now. I think Champ Harris is going to be good. I mean, are we going to wait to the middle of Champ Harris's sophomore year to say, okay, this offense is, where it should be? I don't know. I think that I'll stop there. All
right. Well, hey, Sal, tell us how people can listen to you and find your stuff on the internet, and then we'll take a break.
Sure. Check us out on our YouTube channel, Black Knight Nation, and you can follow me at Sal Internado at Twitter, and check our Instagram out, Black_Knight_Nation. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, Sal.
Thank you, Sal.
Appreciate your time. Folks, we're going to be right back with Coach Joe O'Rourke, the offensive analytic guru. We'll all learn what that is. Crawdad back in a minute.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army. Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
Listen to the Bama Recap Show each Sunday morning at 11, presented by Freedom Marine Center on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, everybody, to the third segment of Crawdads Countdown to Kickoff. This segment, we are normally joined, as we are tonight, by a member of the Army coaching staff, and we have a unique coach on today. We have Coach Joe O'Rourke. Joe, are you there with us, Coach?
Yes, sir. How's it going, guys?
Man,
doing great. Great chat with you.
Couldn't be better. Glad to talk
Thanks
to you.
for taking time to talk with us tonight.
On your Wednesday
Thanks
night.
for having me on.
Well, we'll introduce you, and then we want to hear what you do because it's very unusual.
Very
Joe,
unique. I wouldn't call it unusual. Unique, yeah.
the offensive analyst who does the analytics. And before we get into that, why don't you tell our listeners what exactly offensive analytics are and what they are not?
Yeah, so when we're talking about analytics, especially here at West Point, we're just talking about a lot of game management situations and what we're looking for on the field. Obviously, we get all these numbers and data we get this from a third party, but it helps us make these game time management decisions. So it helps us with knowing different situations in the game when we want to go for it on fourth down, onside kicks, penalties, all these different unique situations. We're not necessarily looking at anything with specific stats during the game. That's more for when you get to halftime or when you're preparing for the game. We're looking at what strategy is going to give us the best chance mid-game to win.
Okay, so that talks about the in-game execution, play calling, down and distance situations, and that. What is your role in as they put together the game plan and as the coaches get together and envision specific scenarios? What is your role and what is the role of analytics in that game prep?
Yeah, early in the week, we get these bright-colored rainbow charts. We go through it on a Tuesday. We go through each team. Each team, we get a different set of charts, and we talk it through on Tuesday saying, hey, here's what it's looking for. Here's how aggressive we need to be this game. Here's where we want to take this in this certain situation. Anything in between for unique spots in the game, we just talk it through and be, hey, Coach, when we're getting into these kind of situations, we're getting to a high red zone. We're getting into low red zone. Here's what we're looking for. Here's the number we want to get. Here's the down and distance we want to get to perform successfully in this game.
So that's interesting. So is the output of these statistics to get to the point to say if you get into a certain situation, we're gonna do this, or does that information go to the play caller to say, these are the statistics, you can then make the call based on that, or is it driven by the statistics?
It's really driven a lot by the statistics. So Coach Munkin, he really buys into this, these charts we get, and he fully believes in it as these are going to give us the best opportunities to win. So I give it the information to the offense coordinator and the head coach, who obviously are going to make the plans, but it gives us clear indication saying, hey, here's our decision, here's what we should be doing. Obviously, coach gets the chance to overrule anything, but it's telling us these are decisions we should be making in the game at this time, based off of things like the time left in the game, timeouts, score differential.
Hey, Coach, I think I saw you on the sidelines in one of the recent games where you had a book that looked like the instructor.
A Los Angeles phone book.
Yeah, Los Angeles phone book. And is that the actual analytics book that it's there on the sideline and you're right there with the coach presenting it to him?
Yeah, so that's what my girlfriend likes to call the rainbow book. So it's all color coordinated. It's got a million different things on it. But exactly, so those charts help us determine exactly what we want to do in specific situations. Again, based off of how much time's in the game, what's the down and distance. You go through the chart real quick, and it says, hey, Coach, based off of the data, based off of our opponent and the data that we pulled early in the week from our third-party company has pulled for us early in the week, I can tell them, hey, here's exactly what we're looking for and what we're looking for to go for and what situation we need to try and get ourselves in.
So how often does a coach overrule the analytics?
Coach Monken almost never. He, like I said, he really buys into it.
As often as he needs to.
Yeah, exactly. Usually we're 100% on it. We always like to follow it to a T because it's made from first quarter to the end of the game to put you in the best, the most advantageous spot to win. We've run all the numbers. The company has run all the numbers for us. We've combed through it to understand what we're going for, but it's putting you statistically in the best spot to win the game and making the best choices for you, because obviously as the game's going on and as a head coach, you got a million different things going on, and it's a really nice tool to have as a reassurance to make sure you're making the right decision, you're putting your players and the team in the best spot.
That's fascinating. So I noticed you're the offensive analytics. Do you have a defensive counterpart? And if so, what does that role look like?
Not necessarily. So the analytics I do kind of encompasses all aspects of the game. We don't have a separate guy for defense.
Okay.
When we're out on defense too, I'm helping coach, especially at the end of half, end of games. I'm helping him make timeout decisions based off the data that's been provided to us.
So do you sort of project, okay, down in distance, this point in the game, this is what this team typically does, and this is the defensive formation? Do you go that in that direction, or?
It doesn't go that deep necessarily. Breaking down the opponent by formation or anything specific like that. It's more, like I was saying, it's more based off of timeouts and time left in the game. It's telling you typically what they account for, and we account for early in the week, is we look at how strong is their offense, how strong is their defense, what are the likelihood that they're going to move the chains here, what's the likelihood, what's the better opportunity, pushing them back a little further or giving them on a penalty, pushing them back a couple more yards, or giving them a whole another down to try and get the first down. Things like that.
So, Joe, when you're going through this, are you on a headset talking to the coach? Are there multiple people engaged in the discussion? How does the actual decision get made?
So since there's a lot of talk and conversation going back and forth, because there's a lot of unique situations come up and you're trying to relay it, I do have a headset and I'm listening to all the calls to offense and defense and special teams making, but I communicate directly with Coach Monken one-on-one to make sure we have a clear, I'm going to tell him, hey, here's what the data is telling us, here's the decision we want to make, and he, obviously, as the head coach, is going to be, yep, we're going with it, that's what we want to do, and he'll relay that to whoever else who needs to hear it.
Hey, Coach, I have a question. One of the things, Eric sent me some information. It says lead and facilitate weekly strategy meetings based on statistical data. I hearken back to the movie Moneyball and the Jonah Hill role. I don't think it goes like that. So how does that meeting go, and who all's in it?
Yeah, Tuesdays. That's our Tuesday morning or afternoon analytics meeting. So, like, we'll go over the charts that are sent to us and the data that's provided to us. So that's all those. Hey, what's their fourth down conversion rating? What's their third down conversion rating? How well are they doing on special teams? What's their kicker? Everything from every stat you can think of. We'll talk it through, pick out anything that's really important that we think is notable. Then we'll go through the charts and figure it. We'll go through the charts and we'll talk about each specific situation and what needs to be done and anything unique that changes week to week. Additionally, we'll go through scenarios of that happened in college and the NFL last week, and we'll talk it through and say, hey, these guys, these guys made a mistake because this is what the dad would tell us. Hey, on a 4th and 10, even though you're not unlikely to convert, hey, you got to try and go for it here because it's late in the game. And they decided to punt the ball. So we'll talk through different situations, kind of update all the coaches. Obviously, Coach Munkin's in there. We got our offensive coordinator, Coach Thatcher. Some of the special teams guys, Coach Saturnio's in there. So we have a pretty good group of guys in there, all getting updated on new things coming out and just trying to keep a good idea of how the game works and how these stats and data factor into the game plan.
So speaking of special teams, Army's been known to, fake punt, fake field goal. Do the analytics drive that, or is that a formation and they do a check down to the fake? How does that normally come about?
So the decision for that is usually based off of coach and what he wants to do. I'm just going to tell him if it's a 4th down, I'll be like, hey, coach, we want to go for it here. It doesn't really matter how we go for it. I'm just telling you we need to try and take a shot and convert this 4th down. Or, hey, coach, we need to go for 2 points here when we get the touchdown. Hey, coach, it's late in the game. We need to try some kind of onside kick and get the ball back and steal possession. He decides how he wants to go about it. I just tell him this is the situation. This is what we need to get done. And then, obviously, he makes the decision from there.
So you talked about your Tuesday, I guess a Tuesday meeting, the stats meeting. So does that result in an input to the third-party statistics, or do you already have the results from the third party at that meeting?
Yeah, so we go back and forth a little bit. Earlier in the week, they'll send us some settings and some different things to look at. We'll okay it. We'll check it with them. But like, yeah, we think the same things. Then they'll build a big game. They'll build a book for us, and they'll send us any extra data that we look for and we're going to need.
Hey, Coach.
So it's a little bit of back and forth.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were through. No. A quick question. You look at your background. You played center in college, and you have a history degree, a business degree, and how in the heck did you get into this stuff? Is this just something you got hired at Army and they said this is what you're going to do, or is this something that you wanted to do when you went there?
Yeah. So when I went to play college ball, unfortunately I wasn't a great athlete. Went off to play D3. Had a great experience up at St. Lawrence University, way up in the North Country, up in New York. Always knew I wanted to coach. Right as I got there, I said, "Hey, I want to be a football coach. This is what I love doing, and I truly do." Went through college, obviously got my degree in history and business, but my junior year, I was like, "Hey, I want to get into coaching. I got to get some kind of experience here." So I reached out to a bunch of different schools and said, "Hey, who's willing to take a guy for free and work over the summer and take an intern?" And I live here locally. I'm over in Westchester, New York, right near Connecticut. One of the guys on the staff got back to me and said, "Hey, yeah, we'll take you." So I worked with recruiting all summer, my junior summer of college. Graduated senior year and reached back out and said, "Hey, if you guys need anything to do, I'm willing to help." They took me right aboard. They said at first, "Hey, you're gonna do the analytics." I was like, "Okay, sure." Like I thought, pulling some data, pulling some stats, nothing too crazy.
How hard can that be?
Yeah, right. Not too bad. And then I get this game book, and it's been a great opportunity, great learning experience, and I really love it, and I've been embracing it.
Well, hey, Coach, thank you so much for your time. This has been fascinating.
Yes.
Now when we see the big book on the sidelines, we'll know exactly what's
going on.
We'll
know the brains behind
That's
it.
right, and we'll know what to call the book.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Coach.
Joe.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
guys for having me.
All right, folks, that's Coach O'Rourke, the analytics guy. Pretty fascinating stuff.
The analytics guy. You had the science guy and the analytics guy.
And we'll be back in a bit to talk about the LSU Bengal Tigers. Lord have
Bayou
mercy.
Bengals.
The Bayou Bengals, Bengal Tigers, those hateful LSU folks. Back in a minute.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com.
Valley Equipment Rental has grown by leaps and bounds over the past year and is adding more and more equipment to their already impressive fleet. Valley is a locally owned family equipment rental business serving the entire Tennessee Valley. They concentrate on the local contractors, building repeat business and specializing in long-term rentals for their local contractors. The benefit of long-term rental is that they stay on top of their assets. If something you own goes down in the field, you have to stop and fix it before you can finish the job. With Valley Equipment Rental, they will fix it on site or bring you another machine while that one's being fixed. More importantly, Valley is locally owned and operated, which means when you have an issue, you can get someone on it right away, right here in the Valley. Heck, ask for Ross Roberts, the owner, if you like. Try calling one of the big box national outlets and asking for the owner. That's if you can even get through the automation. Buy local. Buy Valley Equipment Rental. Valley Equipment Rental has 2 locations, one on the North and South Parkway. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Give Bubby's a call today at 256-513-8080. Bubby's Diner, home of the donut burger.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat, and that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
Hi, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us every week for Alabama football right here.
Listen to Alabama football all season long on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Bill Crawdad Crawford, and this is the final segment of Crawdad's Countdown to Kickoff, where we get to talk about our upcoming game with those Tigers down to LSU land. Say, go Tigers! It's a game that is going to be one where I think Coach Monken said it best. He said we're going to have to play our best game in every facet of the game just to even keep it tight. So
I think of Coach Boone on Remember the Titans. I expect absolute perfection. I mean, I seriously, I think that's what it's going to take. I mean, penalty-free ball, no turnovers, maybe even end up on the plus side, and again, just the talent differential. I think we got bigger hearts, we got bigger effort, but from the talent differential. It's going to take some missteps on LSU's part.
You go back and you look at the Oklahoma game, and that's exactly what it was, right? I mean, we were competitive. We took Oklahoma into second overtime because we were perfect. right? I forget, and we were like 9 fourth down conversions. I mean, we were no penalties, no fumbles. Yeah.
Well, it is going to have to be a perfect game, and it is going to. I think Steve and I are going to be down there at the old War School at LSU. That's what it was originally called, and one of the connections we have, school, S-K-U-L-E, one of the connections between West Point and LSU, there's a couple. The first superintendent of LSU, when it was a military academy, had 19 cadets, was Colonel William Tecumseh Sherman, and I'm sure you guys know who he was.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised he was embraced in that neck of the woods.
Well, it was 1860.
Well, it wasn't that far in the southeast. I mean, Atlanta was a long way away.
So this was this pre-Civil War or post?
This was in 1860, and one thing Sherman did was after the end of the Civil War, he sent to LSU a gift of 2 of the cannons that fired on the Union troops from Fort Sumter. And they're on the grounds to this day. And also, a little bit more of our history with LSU is we're, I think, the only team in the country that has an unbeaten record against them. In 1931, we defeated them, shut them out. So that's all in the past, but we've got our hands full with number 19 in the country. Steve, your green stat sheet, does it give us any advantage at all in anything?
You know, this is one of those situations, that stat sheet, and I'll post it for those that are on our Facebook page, and you can take a look at it. But the thing that sort of skews it and makes the comparison really difficult is strength of schedule. I mean, let me start with national ranking. As you talked about on Massey, they're number 16 in the country, a little bit higher than on some of the published polls. We're 104. We've fallen out of the top 80%, unfortunately. But strength of schedule, they played the third hardest schedule. And again, I average a couple different strength of schedule metrics on that to come up with that number, whereas we're 105. And so when you've got that disparity in strength of schedule, when you look at statistics, it's tough to compare. But having said that, if there is one potential weakness in LSU, it's their defense. They're ranked 110, again, out of 133. They're in the bottom 25% in terms of total defense, and they're ranked 99th in terms of scoring offense. Now, where we have to take that with a grain of salt, as we've talked about over the past 45 minutes, the thing where Army's struggling right now is on offense. So it's sort of our weakness matches up with their weakness.
No, I think we got them right where we want them.
Oh yeah, gonna lull them into false sense of security.
Yeah, they're looking right past Army. Well, let me ask you
to
this.
The bye week.
What, Tom? I'll ask you first. What is your definition? I mean, we're 30-point underdogs. We're going in, and at least, by the way, if you take a look at the game, which is on this station on Zone 2 on Saturday night at 6:30, it's also on the SEC Network. But the LSU folks did a pretty decent thing. They camouflaged, painted the end zone in honor of the Army being there. Coach Brian Kelly was extremely complimentary of playing the service academies.
Yeah, and the impact that he believes that will have on his players. That was wow, that's a great way to think about that.
Well, Steve, Tom, let me go back to that. What is your definitions of success versus LSU?
I think you got to go back to Monken's first couple of years, and I mean, I think success is playing, just being Army strong and playing tough, not getting overwhelmed, staying in the moment, and just punching them in the mouth. Even if the score seems to get out of hand, they need to know that they are up against an Army football team. I mean, I think that's a high bar for us, the way we're playing this year.
What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to draw on my Army acquisition background here, and I'm going to have an objective criteria and a threshold criteria. Objective criteria is win. If we come away with a W, success. Now, threshold, what would be sort of minimum acceptable definition of success? I think actually some of the things that Sal talked about, that we're in the game. You even mentioned it when we were talking beforehand, Bill, that their first team plays well into the latter part of the game because we're still in it. I think it's going to be those kind of things. that the Bayou Bengals walk off the field after the final second ticks off, and they go, man, we were in a fight to the very end. Those kind of intangibles I would define as success.
And I happen to completely agree with you. I'll be frank. I don't see us winning.
I thought you were Bill.
Yeah, you don't want to be Bill anymore.
No, I don't want to be Bill anymore.
Well,
Ooh, help me, Mr. Bill.
As long as your name is not Francis,
Don't call me Shirley. But I don't think we're going to. Frankly, how about that? Frankly, I don't think we're going to win this game. But I do think if we leave that field and they have to keep their starters in for quite some time, they don't pull them out at the second half and start, grabbing ass on the sidelines, and they say, hey, we're still playing football. I think that's a big success for us.
Yeah, and I will say, the Army winning is not out of the realm of possibilities. I don't think there's a team out there with a bigger heart, with more effort, that leaves it out all on the field there. I mean, contrary to what some of the fans have been, some of the Debbie Downers that we've got out there, well, they sort of seem like they gave up. No, they didn't give up. They never give up. And so I think that is still a distinct possibility. And we ought to go in expecting it. But the reality is, there's a huge talent differential, and that's always tough to overcome.
That is going to be tough to overcome. But I know one thing.
Just one thing. He just knows just one thing.
Maybe more than one thing, but I do know this.
I doubt that.
If you're down there at the LSU game and you're watching this on our YouTube channel, come up and say hi to Steve and I. We're going to both be at the Army tailgate. Tom had to make a change of plans. He's not going to be able to be there.
Yeah,
and we're going to be in section 404, right behind the end zone.
That's where all the. I guess that's the Army section there. So we'll be there in all our glory.
In all our glory.
And at the pregame tailgate. Yeah. So
say hi to us. We'd love to say hi to you guys. And I know I was telling you guys the last time I went to LSU for an LSU-Alabama game, I had on an Alabama flowered shirt, and the LSU fan came up and said, that sure is a nice shirt, but somebody's going to whoop that ass before the night's over with. So I'm going to wear a nice Army shirt, but hopefully nobody does any nonsense like that. But it's going to be a good game, and we got to get out of here, guys. So let's get a prediction, Tom. You're first.
I'd say it's 36-21 LSU. First time ever I've picked against Army, I think.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to, as Tom pointed to, I think we're going to cover the spread, and we've talked about that in the past. I think it's effort and those kind of things, but also history tells us teams don't like to run up score on service academies. But I think we're going to go down 40-18.
I'm going to say 46-20, and I think you're right. They don't like to win. They don't like to run it up against service academies. Tom, how many days?
Bill, there's 52 and a bud days until Army beats the hell out of Navy at Gillette Field in Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Okay, folks, and we're out of here. We'll be back next week. And remember this, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, there's a soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine standing a post so you can live the life you enjoy in this great country of ours. This is Crawdad. Go Army.
Beat Navy.
And beat them Tigers.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's hunting and tailgate season and time to get serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 140 to choose from, and without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses mated to a 10-speed transmission that'll take you everywhere.